Hello friends, this is A.V. Ramana. Today we'll be covering a new portion on Transfer Property Act, that is lease. This is also one more interest in Transfer Property Act, that is one more interest in immobile property. Lease, as we all know, in a different language. When we say lease, we always refer as a 3 years lease, 4 years lease, or long-term lease. But in Transfer Property Act, lease refers to rent when a amount is paid for a particular period, for a particular monthly basis, a yearly basis, it refers to lease. Now let us see what 105 has to say about lease. Chapter 5 deals with lease. 105 defines lease. Lease is when a property is given for enjoyment. Possession of a property is given for enjoyment for a particular period of time. And for that particular period of time, a rent is fixed. A rent is fixed and a premium at a price. A price is given for the particular house or whatever it may be. And this period, it may be for a certain period or for a long-term lease. And the consideration is also fixed for it. Consideration need not be always cash. It can be cash and kind because law was made way back in 1882. So cash and kind is permissible. So in this transaction, we have got two persons, the lessor and lessee. This will be more easy to understand if we have the slideshow. This is what it is. So we have possession and enjoyment has to be given in a case of a lease. Then there is certain time. The property is given for certain time and it can be for perpetuity also. For example, you have the multinational companies having a premises taken on lease for a long time basis, or a firm or a big malls. Then you have a consideration. There is a consideration. There is a rent fixed. That rent. And there is a contract between the parties, a rent contract between the parties. Then who are the parties? The parties are a lessor, a lessee, and a premium. That is the price. So lessor, there is a party called lessor. The lessor is a person who is the owner of the premises. And lessee, the person who is given the possession and enjoyment of the premises. He is the lessee. And a premium. A premium is a price. Now we come to 106. See, 106 says about duration of certain lease in absence of written contract, local usage. In case you enter into a contract, because when you say lease, it need not be always in writing. You may enter into an agreement where it is not in writing. If the agreement is not in writing, how will the lacuna fill up? How will you fill up the lacuna? How will the law will come to your rescue? In such cases, what happens? In such cases, law's case, in case of agricultural lease, suppose the property is given is an agricultural land, then it is or it happens to manufacturing unit, then it will be year to year basis. And in case either of the party want to terminate the lease, then each party, who it may be, whether it is lessor or lessee, he has to give a 6 months notice. And in case it happens to be any other case, in any other case, it may be a building or dwelling house. In such cases, a 15 days notice is a must. And these two conditions are mandatory. And just because the notice which you have issued to the lesser, maybe a lesser or lessee, is short of this period, and after the notice period is short, and you have filed after expiry of that period, and after the expiry of the 15 days period, say for example, you have given a dwelling house and issued a notice and asked him to evict the premises within 10 days. But you have filed a suit after 1 month. This notice period, even though is less than 15 days, the suit which you have filed is perfectly valid. The notice which you have issued should be duly signed by the parties. The notice which you issue to the lesser or lessee, whatever the case may be, it should be duly signed by the parties. Then you have 107. 107 speaks about how the lease should be made. Normally, when we enter into lease, we think the lease should not be registered. It is not. The opinion should be changed. When it is 11 months lease, then it is not required that lease has to be registered. But if it exceeds 11 months, or it is 12 months, or year to year lease, or a yearly rent is fixed, in such cases, lease has to be registered. Lease has to be registered. A long-term lease has to be registered, and the lease is only complete when the possession of the property and enjoyment of the property is delivered to the lessor. This is how a lease is done. A lease can also be done by virtue of an oral agreement between the parties. And a state government may by notification issue direction to the states that in such certain cases the oral agreement can also be permissible if a notification issued by the unofficial gazette. Then 109 speaks about rights of lessors transferee. That is, if the lessor has transferred the property to the lessee, a lessor has given the property to the lessee for enjoyment, and later the lessor transfers the property, what happens to the person who is the lessee in the premises? Let us understand this by virtue of a slideshow. Now, here the lessor has given the property to the lessee, and the property is transferred subsequently. Subsequently, the whatever rent the lessee has to pay, he will pay to the known lessee. That is, A has transferred the property, A has given the property, A is the lessor and B is the lessee. So whatever the lessee being B, he will pay rent to the lessor A. He is not aware of the fact that the property has been transferred to some other person. Now, whatever rent he has paid to A, the lessor has paid the rent to lessor. This rent he will not once again pay to the subsequent person, the person who the property has been transferred. Now the choice is of the lessee to elect whether he wants to tenancy to continue under the subsequent agreement, the new agreement which has been created between the new person who has purchased the property, who has purchased the property, or not. That is the choice of the lessee. Then, in case the property is transferred, lessor, in such transaction, we have got three parties. So one is the lessor, other one is the lessee, and other person is the transferee. It may be a part of the property or the whole of the property. In such cases, what happens? So whatever rent the lessor has already paid to the lessee has already paid to the lessor. In such cases, the lessee will not pay once again pay a fresh rent to the subsequent to the transferee. Now the dispute arises to what premium he has to share. Now the property, it may be the whole property has been transferred, a part of the property has been transferred. If there is a dispute between the lessor, lessee, and the transferee, then the court which would decide the possession of the property in case a suit of possession would have been filed for possession. The same court will decide what premium the parties would be entitled to. This is what section 109 speaks about. So if we have query regarding, if we have I think the illustration by virtue of slideshow is pretty clear what 109 speaks about. So this is what section 109 speaks about. If you have any query regarding this, please text me in the comment box so that I can reply as early as possible. Thank you.